Hello and welcome to the new episode of the Hot Tag here on goic.net, your bi-weekly fix of pro wrestling news, reviews, competitions and much, much more. I am Adam Stephen Kelly and I'm joined as always by
Ed Kelly.
And we had another bumper edition of the Hot Tag to bring you today here on Sunday, November 25th. And actually we're going to be giving away another prize today. We're going to be announcing our winner from our last competition, and we have a very big announcement to make for our special Christmas edition of the Hot Tag to close out the year. So all that and more coming up on this show.
Okay, let's begin our roundup of the last week or so in the world of wrestling, and we'll start off with last weekend's WWE pay-per-view, the Survivor Series. The first match we had was Team Clay, which was Brodus Clay with Cameron and Naomi as always, with Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio, and they managed to defeat the Team Tenzai, which is of course Lord Tenzai, Primo, Epico, with Rosa Mendez in their corner, and the primetime players Darren Young and Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, this was the first of the two traditional Survivor Series elimination tag team matches on the show. The only one was actually advertised. This match was not advertised. This was a bonus, but it was kind of obvious that there were going to be matches added onto the show, unannounced, because as we commented on in our Survivor Series preview, there just weren't that many matches actually announced on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was only a 6-match card in the first place. But this opener went about 20 minutes. I guess it's noted down as Team Clay, although he was the first person to be eliminated and the only person to be eliminated from his team. So he didn't do too well. He was defeated by Tenzai, who, for some reason, Tenzai defeated Brodus Clay with his running senton splash. Yet, after hitting it on, I believe it was, who was it? I think it was Justin Gabriel. Gabriel kicked out and pinned Tenzai. So apparently crushing someone the stature of Justin Gabriel is less effective than crushing someone who is much more to Tenzai's size, like Brodus Clay. But in the end, four members of our Team Clay remained as they defeated the primetime players and Tenzai, of course, and Primo and Epico.
Yeah, I thought that when I watched that, I thought that splash thing was a bit ridiculous. But I suppose to get the crowd going, have the face team go over the heel team at the beginning there. And also the next match on the card was Eve, and she was defending her WWE Divas Championship against Caitlyn, and she successfully kept her title.
Yeah, this one went on a bit long. It was a 7-minute match, and unfortunately they didn't quite gel. I mean, Caitlyn, she's probably, aside from Natalya, she's probably one of the biggest divas in the WWE in terms of size. But she isn't that great in the ring, and this one just went on a bit too long. Obviously, they got the extra time because they had a pay-per-view to fill without that many matches. But this wasn't very good at all.
Anyway, on the third match on the card was Antonio Cesaro defending his United States Championships against R-Truth, and again, he said that was under 7 minutes. That one, so that actually gave more time for the Divas than the US title match.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that actually. Well, this one, and unfortunately it wasn't, they just didn't seem to gel particularly well. R-Truth has kind of had this push out of nowhere really since disbanding from Kofi Kingston, who of course at the moment is the Intercontinental Champion. Antonio Cesaro, I think he's good, and he's got a good look. He's very good in the ring. He is the US Champion, but unlike his matches recently with Justin Gabriel, the last of which was at Hell in a Cell, the last pay-per-view before Survivor Series, he didn't have the same chemistry in the ring that he did with Gabriel, with R-Truth, unfortunately. So it was okay, but I did expect more from this, but I guess their styles kind of just clashed.
Yeah. Fourth match was another match we've seen quite regular recently, was Sheamus, and he defeated the Big Show for the World Heavyweight Championship. I know the Survivor Series has lost a lot of the prestige it might have had when it first started. It was a very enjoyable event when they first came out, when it was just really the 4 or 5, depending on which one teams against the other teams. But this one here, we had we had 4 titles on the line at this Survivor Series, and the champions kept all their titles, which was you might expect one title to change hands, but Sheamus kept his against the Big Show.
And the Big Show kept his against Sheamus.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this one, I mean, their match at Hell in a Cell was a real surprise because, as we talked about in our review of Hell in a Cell, this was probably the Big Show's best one-on-one match in a decade. It was really, it was genuinely exciting, especially the last quarter of the match. This one, it was still solid, but unfortunately they weren't able to rekindle the magic that they had at Hell in a Cell, and Sheamus was, he beat the Big Show, but it was by disqualification. So of course the Big Show retains his title.
Yeah.
The Big Show pushed the referee in front of Sheamus when he was hitting the bro kick. So that took out the referee, and then another referee counted the fall when the Big Show knocked Sheamus out with the WMD, but then the referee later reversed the decision. So Sheamus victorious, so I guess he's still being booked pretty strongly. As for this, Sheamus has now defeated the Big Show. Big Show's defeated Sheamus, so I guess we're going to see the rubber match at TLC. And that seems to be going in the direction of a chairs match. Sheamus attacking the Big Show with a steel chair after the match. The chair theme continuing on Raw and SmackDown. So the chairs match of the TLC pay-per-view is all but confirmed with the World Heavyweight Championship.
The 5th match was a traditional Survivor Series elimination tag team match again. And that was Team Ziggler, which was obviously Dolph Ziggler, Damien Sandow, David Otunga, Wade Barrett, and Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez. And they defeated Team Foley, which was The Miz, Intercontinental Champion Kofi Kingston, Team Hell No, which is obviously Kane and Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton, of course, with Mick Foley in their corner. I was glad to see, actually, obviously, Dolph Ziggler was the sole survivor. I was glad to see that they've, glad to see he was the sole survivor in this one, and that, he's getting the credit now he deserves.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dolph Ziggler, and it was actually a surprise to see him get the win in this match and be the sole survivor. I mean, it was down to him and Randy Orton. My money was on Orton to win, but he countered the punt kick, which we haven't seen in a very long time because the move's actually been banned, but Orton just teased it here, and Ziggler was able to roll him up for the victory. This was a good match. Plenty of eliminations, of course. So I'm never a fan of the quick eliminations, but you always see them in this match, just because of time restrictions. But the only thing noted about this match is that Mick Foley's involvement was really kind of pointless after the match had been changed and CM Punk was taken out of the match. Mick Foley and Dolph Ziggler as team captains, they really didn't have much to do with each other. Foley only got involved in the match to hit Ricardo Rodriguez with Mr. Socko, and that was all. And Foley wasn't even on Raw the next night. He's just kind of disappeared now. So it's kind of like, well, okay, what was the point, really? They're clearly not building to a Mick Foley CM Punk match now at the next pay-per-view. So it was kind of like, well, it's like he was just left there because they didn't know what to do. And it showed, I think. But it was a good match, and I'm really glad to see Dolph Ziggler get the win. And hopefully his push is coming because, it seems that whenever they have no one else to put in the title picture, they always rely on Dolph Ziggler.
That's right. I mean, it was also impressive. His win made it more impressive over some of the people that obviously he was with, and also some people he was against. I mean, there were some big stars this match. Obviously, you had Kane on the opposing team, Randy Orton as well. So I mean, there was on his own team, you had The Miz, Wade Barrett. So he had some big names in that match, and to him to be the sole survivor, have his hand raised is kudos to him. Okay, the last match on the card was of course the WWE Championship match, in which CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner defeated Ryback and John Cena. Triple threat. CM Punk still leads with the belt. As we said before, there was 4 titles on the line, and all 4 champions kept their titles. What did you make of this one?
It was okay. I mean, it was a triple threat match, and they always kind of work out the same. One person just gets thrown out of the ring straight away. It's basically a singles match. They come back in the ring, they throw the next person out, working basically another singles match. It was just another triple threat match, really. It was all the same until the ending when the NXT guys came down. Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose has actually never been in NXT since it started up again. So he's just he's an FCW talent, not NXT. But then you've got Roman Reigns and NXT champion Seth Rollins, who interfered and put Ryback through the announce table. And it's ironic, actually, because on the last episode, when we were previewing Survivor Series, one of the questions we had in the mailbag was what we would think of an NXT versus a NXT 5-man, 5 NXT guys versus 5 NXT guys, like a heel team versus a face team, with the 5 winners getting WWE contracts, or contracts for the main roster. Yeah. And we both didn't agree with that idea, just we thought it wasn't the time. But I mean, how ironic was it that this big surprise that no one saw coming, that three guys, 2 of them being from NXT, one of them being from FCW, actually interfered in the main event and seemed to be working with CM Punk in taking out Ryback. And it seems like they're building towards a CM Punk Ryback tables match at TLC for the title, while John Cena works with Dolph Ziggler. But I mean, how ironic was that? And I don't know where they're going with it. They're targeting Ryback. But then there's the case of, well, actually, Roman Reigns has only been on, I believe, since Survivor Series, he only appeared on 2 episodes of NXT. He's a very new, a new talent to that brand. Dean Ambrose, as we said, hasn't appeared on NXT yet. And Seth Rollins is the NXT champion, and he's the biggest babyface on NXT. So for him to appear in WWE as a heel, and he is still the NXT champion, I mean, is he still going to be appearing on NXT? Where does that leave NXT? I don't know. It just seemed like kind of a desperate move, just another way to kind of take out Ryback. Like I said at the Survivor Series preview, I don't think it is the right time to move the NXT guys up to the roster. I mean, they may be ready. That's fair enough. But, NXT is NXT, and it needs the strength of those guys, like NXT champion Seth Rollins. You can't just pluck them out and but we'll see where it goes.
And I think another interesting thing as well is obviously, again, Ryback, for a while, we're expecting something to happen with him in the title picture. I mean, he's had plenty of chances, but for some reason WWE haven't, actually obviously put the title around his waist. And, I actually thought sooner rather than later he was actually going to get a run with the title personally. I thought it was coming. But, of course, 2 months away now, we've got the Royal Rumble, when The Rock, he's going to have pretty sure Rock's going to have a title match. So where does that leave? Where does that leave Ryback? I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Rock gets a title match, I'm pretty sure that he will win it. That's my personal feelings. Now, if he does win the title against CM Punk, where does that leave Ryback now?
Yeah, well, Ryback suffered his first defeat one-on-one against CM Punk at Hell in a Cell. As we said, Brad Maddox did the whole screwjob angle there. He also, although, technically he did lose at Survivor Series in the triple threat match, he didn't take the fall. John Cena was pinned, but he still technically lost. So that's another defeat for Ryback. That's 2 in the last month. Looks like he's going to face CM Punk in a tables match at TLC. And he's, I think it's pretty obvious that he's going to lose there. So that's 3 defeats for Ryback in less than 2 months going into December.
Yeah.
Looks like CM Punk is going to face The Rock for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. John Cena, The Rock, CM Punk going to be in the WWE Championship picture going into WrestleMania. Where does that leave Ryback? Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to be in the championship picture going into at least summer of 2013. Because, he's not going to be in the picture, when WrestleMania season comes around. So I think, he could have had it for a month from Hell in a Cell. But I don't think he's going to be anywhere near in the title picture for about 6 months.
No, that's right. I mean, looking back at it now, if you look at what you just said about The Rock probably getting his title shot at the Royal Rumble, and then you've got, obviously The Rock's got his history with Cena, really. So you wonder whether there's going to be an angle, coming up between them two again, whether they get another match at WrestleMania or something. We don't know. But if Rock wins the title at the Royal Rumble, perhaps CM Punk will get a rematch. Maybe John Cena will get a match. But you wonder now whether Ryback, whether they should have just left him on the back burner, maybe just said, right, we're going to bring you in this year, but we're just going to keep you on the back burner, but just keep his undefeated streak going. And then maybe next year when they've cleared out and sorted what they want to do with The Rock, CM Punk, John Cena, like you say, next summer maybe, then it could have been like the summer of, like last summer was the summer of Punk. Next summer could be the summer of Ryback. But we're actually going to take a question later about The Rock and the WWE title picture and his role at the Royal Rumble. But going back to Ryback and CM Punk, that is going to lead us into our review of last Monday Night Raw. And Ryback on the card, he was obviously very angry about what had happened at the Survivor Series. And he actually defeated Tenzai, and he sort of did a demolition job on Tenzai, hitting him with these shell shots. But he also had a lot to say. I mean, he came out last night, and this is quoting Ryback. Last night, I was about to feast on the WWE Championship, but CM Punk employed 3 of his men to take food out of a starving man's mouth. Well, my hunger cannot be suppressed. I am a predator, and CM Punk, you and your 3 men, all my prey. So that's obviously him, being very unhappy about the events that took place at the Survivor Series. But does make you wonder what's going to happen with him in the title picture, as you say, Adam.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with his promo is who actually talks like that.
Yeah, sure.
It's like a robot.
Yeah, it certainly needs some work on the shtick.
Actually, I think in FCW, I think the Ryback character was supposed to be like a robot, like a Terminator character.
Yeah.
So I guess that links into that, but he needs to work on his delivery. Again,
this is something we mentioned before about these, like a production line of superstars. Before we had the like we said, back in the old days, you had the vignettes and the promos coming in before they even got into the ring, and before they had the training. They had the training camps, and they learned all the shtick as well. And they used to drive for miles and miles and miles with a case of beer in the back of the car, and they'd all the rest of them would practice their promos on each other in the car. And that's a lost art. That's a lost part of wrestling. And I think that you're probably seeing that the effect it's had on people like Ryback, who really could do with some more practice. Okay, so he won with shell shocked against Tenzai, and obviously was venting his anger.
He lifted up. He actually got him up this time.
Yeah, he actually didn't bodge it this time, which is good. Wade Barrett defeated Intercontinental Champion Kofi Kingston. And beforehand, Barrett claimed that the IC title should be his, because at the Survivor Series, in the traditional Survivor Series elimination match, he actually eliminated Kofi Kingston, and he said that he should be the champion by rights. And during this, it wasn't a bad match at all, but in the end, he cheated slightly. He raked Kofi's eyes and hit him with a ball hammer, which sealed the win for him.
Yeah, now Wade Barrett is going to get an Intercontinental Championship match at, well, it looks to be TLC. After knocking off the champion here. I don't see Wade Barrett losing that match, to be honest, which makes Kofi Kingston's reign as champion a bit ineffective and not particularly noteworthy, and more of a transitional champion. But Wade Barrett's on the rise, and I'm a big fan of Wade Barrett, so I think he should get the title, really.
When Wade Barrett first came in, I must admit I wasn't a fan of his. I think it was nothing to do with his wrestling ability. I think it was the fact that he was obviously this very up his own backside heel, and I think that's what really the fact that I didn't like him was attributed to his skills as a heel. But it just shows the two sides of the spectrum. I mean, you have CM Punk celebrating his year, his 355 days of being the WWE champion. and yet, Kofi Kingston could very likely lose his title quickly. So it just shows that, they're doing one thing with one guy, another thing with another. It does make you sort of, wonder. A very quick note here, Adam. Caitlyn defeated Axana.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Survivor Series with Caitlyn's match at Eve, this was much worse, but luckily it was only about 2 minutes long, so we didn't have to suffer this one for very long. That's all there is to say.
Again, if you have a one thing I'll say about TNA is sometimes on their shows, obviously they do have more than one knockouts match on there, especially when back in the days when they had such a strong pool of talent with the knockouts. But you've got a women's wrestling division, Divas, and they've had one Divas match on the card. Now, if you have one Divas match a week on there, you surely can't highlight your talent, can you, properly?
Well, I think the case is they don't have much talent. I mean, I think we mentioned this a couple of episodes ago. So many Divas have left in the last year that there's barely any Divas left on the roster. I mean, there used to be so many that they used to have Battle Royals. There used to be 2 women's championships, remember? The Divas title on SmackDown and the women's title on Raw. Now there's barely any Divas to keep things fresh in that division. Beth Phoenix, of course, has just recently left. Awesome Kong's gone in the last year. Kelly's gone. The Bella Twins have gone. Who's going to be next? There just isn't that many faces. They need new faces, but they need talented new faces, not just pretty faces.
The AJ John Cena scandal in brackets. Trying to present eyewitnesses to this now, and John Cena's rebuke to this was to plant a smacker on AJ.
And then for AJ to do the same to Cena. Yeah, this is kind of weird. I mean, this angle is just not very. This storyline is not very. It's not very interesting and engaging, and it's just kind of, just kind of weak. And the thing with this is, I mean, on last week's Raw, they teased. It was a mere tease that, Cena mentioned that their relationship between them could never ever happen, and AJ was kind of shocked and she said, like, never. And you think, okay, that's a tease. That's the direction you should be going with a storyline like this, if that's where you're going. But they should be building for weeks and weeks about, are they going to get together? Are they not? It's kind of like, elementary soap opera storytelling. And then it gets to this week, and then they go for that straight away. It's like, well, you just killed all the build-up you could have had for weeks.
Do you remember? It goes back. This reminds me of the build-up to WrestleMania 8, and do you remember it was Ric Flair versus he was the WWF champion at the time, and he was wrestling Macho Man Randy Savage with his title on the line. WrestleMania 8 in I think it was the Hoosier Dome, and the big story to this, the backstory was Ric Flair was saying with Mr. Perfect as his executive consultant that Randy Macho Man Savage, excuse me, his real-life wife, Elizabeth, had previously been in a relationship with Ric Flair. And do you remember they had all these
photos?
Fake photos and all the storylines behind it. And Ric Flair said that if he won at WrestleMania, he had this huge centerfold picture of Elizabeth he was going to hold up for the world to see. But that was a well done story, wasn't it? That had weeks of build up to it. That had all the little vignettes and the fake photograph. And that was done properly. So, if they could follow something along the lines of that really, and made build up, then they'd have done it a lot better.
Yeah, and that storyline had actual drama in it, and the complete opposite of this storyline because. As we're going to get into later, because we have a question about a certain angle that took place a couple of weeks ago. The thing with not just in professional wrestling, but just generally storytelling, is that you have to keep escalating things and building, and 1 week has to be on a higher level to the next. Otherwise things just fall flat, and that's exactly what's happened here.
One thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you. One thing as well with that angle, with the Savage Flair angle, which is the most important thing about this, is that feud and that angle ended up in a WWF Championship match. Where is this angle going to end up? What is going to happen at the end of this angle? Once it's all done, there's not going to be any matches there, really. There's no.
Well, there's Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena, which the thing with that is, you know, Cena versus Ziggler seems to be happening at TLC, which is probably going to be a good match, and could well escalate Ziggler, give him that final push in the main event spot. But you know, it's John Cena and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler keeps on getting involved in these stupid, petty storylines.
Exactly, he doesn't need to be involved in them. That's what I mean. This is a spin-off of the match. Is happening as a result of a spin-off of this crappy angle they're doing with AJ and Cena. But with the Flair Savage angle, it was a pure angle, and it happened, and it went to the match. And once the match happened, Savage became champion, and that was it. It was done. It was finished with. Let's move on. With this angle, you know, Ziggler's getting a chance against Cena because, you know, of this crappy angle they're doing.
And the only reason it's unpredictable and we can't tell what's going to happen next is because they've completely removed the sense of direction. That's the only reason it's currently remaining unpredictable, is because no one predicted that to happen on Monday, because people thought, okay, there has to be if there's a story to be told here, the story has to be told, not just, you know, how can you get to the end of the story a couple of weeks to get in and then expect to continue it? I mean, you know, you've got another 3 weeks until TLC. This has to continue. And, you know, hey, if Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena could be a great thing for Ziggler's career, but a storyline like this is only going to hinder him because people aren't going to believe that he's going to be ready for the main event if he keeps on attaching himself to this stuff with Vicky Guerrero and AJ and everything like that.
That's right. Okay, let's move on. Randy Orton defeated Alberto Del Rio in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Orton won the first round via disqualification after Del Rio refused to adhere to the referee's warnings about the arm on the ring post. Then Del Rio won the second round with the cross arm breaker on Randy Orton's damaged arm, and Randy Orton won the third and decisive round with the RKO.
This was a, you know, fairly decent match. The only thing was, you know, I didn't understand why it was the best 2 out of 3 falls match. It just seemed to kind of be thrown together. I mean, these two have been facing each other a lot recently.
Different, you know, perhaps they thought that, you know, we've run out of ideas. Let's just do this.
Well, surely, you know, a 2 out of 3 falls match would be the way to end a feud, because that will be, you know, truly decisive. Yet this one looks like it's going to continue and probably end at TLC. So why are you having this match? You know, sure. I mean, surely that's the object of a best 2 out of 3 falls match, is to get an ultimate winner.
That's right.
So why is it just on Raw for no apparent reason and no advertising?
Yeah, no, it goes back to the you know, WCW days about giving away sort of, you know, what could be pay-per-view matches, you know, away for free. Okay, I'm going to spend about 10 seconds talking about this next match. The Great Khali defeated Primo and Epico. Khali using the Punjabi Plunge for victory. All right, enough said about that one. Let's go to The Miz, and he defeated David Otunga.
Yeah, The Miz's babyface turn is it's not going too well. I mean, he was a goofy heel, but it kind of worked. And then he changed his image, he changed his look, and looked like he was getting a bit more serious, and seemed to be, and it was actually going well. Then he becomes a babyface, and then suddenly he's this really goofy babyface, and it's not the way you want to be. He's really no different from when he was a heel. So, you know, I don't know. I'm unsure about how this is going to work, because at the moment it doesn't seem to be working. There seems to be no difference between babyface Miz and heel Miz, and you know, like I said, it looked like he was moving away from that goofy side, but he's gone right back into it.
Yeah, I think years ago, if you had done this, you know, 15, 20 years ago, all you really had to do to change, you know, a heel to a face was really, if, you know, a face was in trouble in the ring, if you were a heel, you could run down, help them out. You'd all shake hands in it and hug, and all of a sudden the next day on Raw, you'd be a face, wouldn't you? Or something silly like that. You could do it so easily. But nowadays, the crowd are smart. All the marks are smart. They know about The Miz. I mean, The Miz, you just have to look at The Miz and look at his sort of cheeky character to know that he's meant to be a heel, isn't he? Yeah. He's not really meant to be a face. And I don't think nowadays you can really get away with doing the switch like that. But I think it would have worked. But I mean, it's one of those heels that you think that okay, he's changed the face, but any second he could go back, couldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, though, I mean, you look at someone like Chris Jericho, who was able to change his persona from a heel and babyface. They were two completely different things. He was essentially able to change his character while remaining Chris Jericho. And the thing with the character of The Miz is, if he had another sort of side to his character in him, they could have done like a really slow build towards a babyface, like just tease it for so long until you do turn. But at the same time, just build it towards changing your character, rather than seemingly changing overnight, yet remaining the same person, which never works out.
That's right. Okay, Sheamus defeated Damien Sandow, and of course he used the bro kick.
Yeah, the bro kick still being booked very, very strongly. This is a rematch from about, I think it's 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago on Raw, and they went a bit longer on that previous match, and it was a much better match actually. It was a turning point in Damien Sandow's career, because he was able to work this solid match with Sheamus back when he was the World Heavyweight Champion. But on this occasion, the match just felt drawn out and long and lumbering, unlike their previous encounter, and didn't show off Damien Sandow very much in this one. It wasn't the most flattering match to watch if you have a close eye on Damien Sandow. But we'll see. I mean, I like his character.
Yeah, I like his character too. The sort of the remake of The Genius.
He does it well, even though it is basically a rip-off. But he just hit.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's taken an idea, and he's making his own, isn't he? I mean, yes, he's ripping it off, but he's also, doing a good job of it at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, we alluded to this a minute ago regarding the AJ John Cena scandal in brackets. This went to a segment where Dolph Ziggler was in conversation with AJ, and he, amongst other things, he called her trash, and this obviously angered John Cena, and he came to her rescue, defending her honour, which involved a backroom brawl, and Dolph Ziggler has injured John Cena's knee apparently.
Well, a thing we didn't mention actually was that when Dolph Ziggler was being chased out of the ring by John Cena in the first segment with AJ and Guerrero, he seemed to roll his ankle as he was coming down. But it is a storyline injury. It's not. It's a worked injury. But to John Cena's credit, he really did make it look legitimate.
What worries me with this is I've got visions of seeing this match happen between the two next, and the visions of the old Bret Hart knee injury. Do you remember Bret Hart would sell his knee injury all the time? He did it once, and then every match afterwards he would have this knee injury, and he just used to sell it every single match, and always leave the ring limping with his knee injury.
Well, yeah, who knows? But yeah, so it looks like John Cena's going to be injured, quote unquote injured, going into TLC against Ziggler.
Yeah. WWE Tag Team Champions, Team Hell No, the team of Daniel Bryan and Kane. They defeated the team of Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. But this one actually went to a no contest because the Primetime Players entered and basically destroyed everyone.
Yeah, the Primetime Players were on commentary, and Titus O'Neil was making everyone laugh by just, I don't know, she was just going crazy with the live mic, making jokes of Jerry Lawler, who's saying, wash rag, and things like that, which I think was trending worldwide after this, and I think it was kind of funny just for the pure carnage at the announce table. This match was okay, and didn't see a clean win, but wasn't really to be expected when you have two teams like this, basically two face teams going at it. It looks like we might see I think a TLC match or a ladder match at the pay-per-view involving the Primetime Players, and most likely another team for the titles, so that should be quite good. I mean, we haven't seen a multi-tag team match of that sort of stipulation in a long time.
No. Okay, we alluded to earlier that it was actually CM Punk's 365th day as WWE Champion. So kudos to him. It's nice to see that at his point of view as a professional, the WWE have seen him fit to carry the belt for so long. And he actually decided to give himself a celebration party, which was actually ruined by Ryback, who came down to make his presence known. But he didn't actually get to the ring because on his way down the ramp, he was attacked by Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. And basically was put through the announce table again. And then CM Punk planted his foot on top of Ryback's chest again, and proclaiming himself once again the best in the world.
Yeah, for the second time in 24 hours, Ryback was powerbombed through the table by the NXT contingent, who I think are going by the name of The Shield. Yeah, I mean, CM Punk and Paul Heyman having this elaborate celebration, which Paul Heyman demanded balloons, but balloons weren't there in the end. Also, it seemed like people were invited to this party, including Ryback, Paul Heyman mentioned earlier in the show, but actually no one turned up apart from Ryback towards the end of the segment. So it wasn't the biggest celebration of all time, but CM Punk celebrating 1 year as WWE Champion, which is something that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Yeah,
well, perhaps at the end of the show, CM Punk celebrating with a vegetable smoothie or whatever he drinks instead of beer. Hey, that's enough of the WWE roundup this week. We're going to have a look at the card now for TNA's Final Resolution pay-per-view, which is showing from Orlando, Florida on the 9th of December. There's only 3 matches on the card so far.
Yeah, well, there's still a couple of weeks to go, but we're going to do our the pay-per-view falls on our next episode, actually, which is the 9th of December. But there's a couple of talking points here because of just some of the, a couple of the matches that have been announced. Chiefly the TNA Championship match between not James Storm and Jeff Hardy, but Bobby Roode and Jeff Hardy. And we mentioned on our last episode, which was the preview of the TNA Turning Point pay-per-view, we mentioned in correlation to the triple threat match between AJ Styles, James Storm and Bobby Roode, where the championship match was on the line, and the losers wouldn't be able to get a shot at the title until Bound for Glory 2013, how long TNA would actually keep up with that story, and if they would, find some excuse to basically make the match completely redundant and irrelevant, and just go with, completely break that rule. And what happened? They taped Impact 24 hours later. It was a taped one. I think they're back live on this Thursday for the first time in a couple of weeks with Impact Wrestling. Bobby Roode defeats James Storm to take his TNA Championship match, and he'll be facing Jeff Hardy at Final Resolution. And all I have to say is, what the hell was the point of James Storm winning that match at Turning Point?
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bobby Roode's personally my favourite wrestler on the TNA roster. It just beggars belief what they're thinking. I actually personally believe, I don't know if anyone else out there agrees with me, Bruce Pritchard, obviously, and Al Snow have gone to TNA. Bruce Pritchard is the head booker. Al Snow is head of talent relations. I can't help thinking that actually Bruce Pritchard and Al Snow actually still are employed by WWE and are going there to destroy what is left of TNA. Some of the decisions and the booking there, and I can't fathom out what they're doing. I mean, that's the championship match. I mean, yes, it should be a good match. The second match is announced was AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. And don't get me wrong, before you pure wrestling fans want to say, oh, well, what's wrong with this match? There's nothing wrong with the match. It's just the fact we've seen it so many times now. It's done to death.
And we've seen it early. We've seen it this year. We've seen their feud this year, in fact.
Exactly. They had the huge feud with the the druggy angle they did, which was terrible.
I think their last match was actually a last man standing match, the natural blow off to their feud, and here they are just having a normal one-on-one match.
Exactly, it's a normal one-on-one match, you know, and to top it all off, the third match on the card, which is a singles match for the TNA Women's Knockout Championship. Mickie James is taking on Tara for her title. Mickie James, come back from injury, straight into the title picture. You know, don't really understand it.
Yeah, the night she returns, it happens to be a battle royal to determine the number one contender, and she wins. It's just, you know, okay, that's kind of just forgivable. You know, she's back. She's one of the biggest names on the roster, Knockouts roster, probably the biggest name, really. But, you know, logical booking seems a thing of the past at the moment in TNA. And, you know, like as you said, Bobby Roode, you know, I'm a big fan of Bobby Roode. You know, a big fan of Bobby Roode. I'd rather see Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Roode, so I'm glad about that. But it defies all logic.
Well, yeah, enough said in that matter.
Well, actually, just another note on that match. The commercial, as I noted actually on a post that I made on GoWait.net a couple of weeks ago during Turning Point, the TNA Wrestling's official YouTube channel during the show released the commercial for their for Final Resolution. And the commercial teases that it may be Jeff Hardy's last appearance, and it may be the end for Jeff Hardy. So, you know, is there anything to that? I don't know, but I do know that his contract with TNA is expiring, and I think it's actually early next year as opposed to this year. And there are rumours that he does want one final WWE run, so, no, only time will tell, and again, these are just rumours. But, you know, we maybe see, you know, Jeff Hardy's career in TNA may be nearing the end in his, I think this is his third run.
Well, I think as far as going back to WWE, I mean, no, the problem with that is, I know he's obviously left WWE before, gone back to them, etc. But the problem is it's not as if he's gone like, say, Christian Cage, left WWE, went to TNA, and totally revamped his career, didn't he? He was tremendously successful in TNA, holding the championship. And he did his career's wonders, and then WWE took him back and you know, reaping the benefits of his experiences with TNA. But let's face it, his last run in TNA for Jeff Hardy hasn't been always memorable for the right reasons. I mean, obviously the match with Sting, which never was a match really, was it? The you know, the state was in. I mean, you know, I think he's really damaged he's damaged his stock, really personally. Yeah, for WWE to. The only way I could think of it is if his next year the WWE are really struggling for talent and they have to go back to the old hands, and maybe then he'll have a chance. But we'll see. Okay, we're going to do some mailbag in a minute, Adam. But first of all, do you want to announce the winner of last week's competition for WWE 13?
Yes, we were giving away a copy of WWE 13 on PS3, and we said we'd announce the winner on this show, and in fact we are about to. The question, of course, as it was a Survivor Series themed episode last week, the question was, what was the name of the infamous turkey that hatched at the Survivor Series 1990? And the answers were the Gobbledygooker, Corporal Cluck, or the Red Rooster. And the answer, of course, was A, the Gobbledygooker. And the winner was Stephen Fletcher of Bristol, here in the UK, actually. So congratulations to Stephen Fletcher. We'll be getting in touch very shortly with details on how we can send you your copy of WWE 13. So thanks to everybody who entered that competition. And we do have another competition this week. We always try and bring you a competition as often as we can. And
just before that, just a bit of useless trivia for all you wrestling fans out there. The Gobbledygooker was actually Hector Guerrero.
Who's currently one half of TNA's Spanish announce team.
And I hear he wishes he never left the Gobbledygooker position.
Yeah.
On TNA, but anyway, sorry, right, this week...
I'm not sure which is worse.
Nobody saw that coming.
It meant the changing of the guard, the changing of the complexion of a company.
You know it's going to leave a big impact.
It was the moment that everything changed.
Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. This right here is the new world order of wrestling, brother.
An industry was altered forever.
You want to go to war? You're going to get one.
New world order.
A hostile takeover
We had SWAT teams and fire trucks showing up on our set.
There was something real going on there.
shifted the balance of power.
We shall rule for life. People tuned in to see what these guys were going to do next. They felt real.
But this battle for control,
there was an element to when you saw them on TV, really unorganized.
Everybody lost focus.
led to the beginning of the end.
And that was the first huge blunder.
To be honest with you, it was humiliating, it was embarrassing.
I was never so happy to see something come to an end.
Hit the music, I'm out of here!
Radical, groundbreaking. WWE Home Video presents NWO, The Revolution. Available now.
Okay, now it's time for this week's competition, and this week you can win a copy of the NWO Revolution DVD. We're actually going to be doing a review of this DVD later on in this week's show, so listen out for that. To get your hands on a copy, you need to answer this question correctly. At which WCW pay-per-view event did Hulk Hogan shock the world by joining Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and forming the NWO? Was it at A, Sold Out, B, Starrcade, or C, Bash at the Beach? Now you can send your answers to us at
Hot Tag Mailbag at yahoo.com. And this is it's a Region 2 DVD, so it's playable in Europe. But of course we do accept entries from anywhere in the world, so as long as you have a Region 3 DVD player, if you are not in Europe, you can play this DVD with no problem at all.
Also, if you want to just send in some questions to us, you can send it to that address as well. Also, you can find us on Facebook just type in the Hot Tag, and you'll find us on there, and you can put what you think of the show on there, your comments, your questions, your general wrestling views, anything. We're more than welcome to have you on there. Okay, let's go to this week's mailbag. Let's start off with question 1. This is from Walter Grace, and he is in Detroit, Michigan. And he asked, what do you make of The Rock's participation at the Royal Rumble? Does he deserve it after not appearing in the ring since WrestleMania 28? I presume he just wrestling capacity. And does he deserve to win the title if he gets the chance? Well, I think it's good. Personally, I think it's good to have The Rock there because The Rock's obviously still a tremendous draw and a superstar. I was hoping after WrestleMania 28, his win against Cena, that we'd see more of him, actually. I know he's obviously still, doing movies, but I'd like to see him back in the ring because he was in tremendous shape at WrestleMania, and he does look ready to go. I mean, if he wrestles, CM Punk, will he win the title? I mean, CM Punk's had it for over a year now. But will the WWE... I think the WWE will only allow him to win the title if he can, dedicate the time to WWE and actually do some stuff on the road with them, actually do some shows, rather than just being a paper champion. But saying that, CM Punk's been a good champion, and he might keep the belt. But so I can understand frustration for the fans for the fact that we haven't seen enough of The Rock in the last year in wrestling. But he does deserve it, really, in my mind, to wrestle because he's such a star, and at the moment WWE are really lacking on talent. Well, it does look like we're going to see CM Punk versus The Rock at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. On paper, logically on paper, logic says that The Rock wins the WWE Championship, and John Cena wins the Royal Rumble match. And then we see John Cena versus The Rock 2 at WrestleMania. John Cena defeats The Rock, gets his victory over The Rock, and also wins the WWE Championship on the grandest stage of them all. But, like you said, if The Rock is to win the WWE Championship, how many appearances is he going to make on the road to WrestleMania? How is he going to appear? How often is he going to appear on TV? I mean, he did make quite a few appearances between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania when he was building his match with John Cena. There was quite lots of vignettes as well when he wasn't in the, actually in the arenas in person. But, if you're not having the WWE Champion on your TV show every week on Monday Night Raw live, that's kind of damaging to the title, as is not having any WWE Championship matches at live events.
The Rock is clearly not going to be working house shows. And the main event of every house show is a WWE Championship match. So how's that going to work out? And also, you look at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. There's always 2 Elimination Chamber matches. One is kind of the last chance match for someone to get a opportunity at either the World Heavyweight title or the WWE title at WrestleMania. Whatever title hasn't been targeted by the winner of the Royal Rumble. Is The Rock going to go into Elimination Chamber and actually participate in an Elimination Chamber match to defend the title? Because that's always the case. It's either there's one title match in the Elimination Chamber and there's one contendership match in the Elimination Chamber. Is The Rock going to work another pay-per-view in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania? I mean, like I said, logic says The Rock does, but looking into it, the fine details of what that would actually involve, I don't think they can. But then where does that leave The Rock going into WrestleMania?
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, where does it leave The Rock? But I mean, if you look at, if The Rock's going to have a successful Royal Rumble and go on to win the title and then go on to WrestleMania, when is WrestleMania next year? Is it March or April? I think it's the
first week of April.
First week of April. So you've got January, February, March, and into April of the title picture between The Rock, CM Punk, and Cena. Really, where does that leave Ryback? Where does that leave Dolph Ziggler? All these stars they're trying to build up and build up and build up to get into the title picture, and they're bringing in someone that's not really been in there for the last 10 years and has had one match. So I can understand people being frustrated that they think, well, Dolph Ziggler deserves a chance. Ryback deserves a chance, and they're going to be, really going to be put on the back burner, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, we've seen in the past. I mean, I think last year Dolph Ziggler was defeated by, or was it 2011? I think Dolph Ziggler was defeated by Edge, in their World Heavyweight Championship match. Then Dolph Ziggler, despite losing his championship match, was actually involved in the Royal Rumble match. Are we going to see CM Punk defeat The Rock at the Royal Rumble, only for The Rock to actually be in the Royal Rumble match as well? The Rock wins the Royal Rumble and goes on to face whoever the champion is at WrestleMania. Are we going to see John Cena defeat CM Punk, on Raw or at Elimination Chamber? And is that how we're going to get The Rock Cena 2? Because The Rock versus Cena 2 is the logical WrestleMania match, but it's the road to get there which is difficult when you have someone whose schedule is like The Rock and who isn't a full-time member of the roster.
Okay, next question. This is from Martin Allen. Don't know where you are, Martin. He says, what did you guys think of the heart attack angle on Raw with Jerry Lawler? And did CM Punk stroke the WWE go too far? Okay, obviously, a few months ago, Jerry Lawler had a real heart attack on Raw, was clinically dead. Thank goodness he made a very speedy recovery. But of course, CM Punk came out, was doing the heart attack jokes to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman faked a heart attack. CM Punk did the cross sign, the referees like a real injury sign, mocking Lawler, saying, you're always going to be a heart attack, But I can assure you that before they did anything like this, they would have run it with Jerry Lawler first to make sure he was okay with it. And if he hadn't been okay with it, then they wouldn't have done it. So anyone out there thinking that, they shouldn't have done it, they should have asked Lawler first. Lawler knew exactly what they were going to do. It was all planned beforehand. So I don't think there was really any problem. If he agreed to it, then I can't see the problem, Adam.
Yeah, well, I commented at length on this last week on the Layfield report, John Bradshaw Layfield's website, and I had a lot to say about this because when this angle unfolded, I purposely went on Twitter and searched, used appropriate search terms to look and see what people's reactions were, and people saying that they were switching the channel and they were never ever going to watch Raw again because they were so sickened by the angle. And I just think that these people, the same people responding to this in this manner, and so many people I've seen such an outpouring of negativity towards the angle. These people who are saying this are the same people who are saying that they want the Attitude Era back. These are the same people who say that WWE's product is bland and predictable week in and week out, even though they visit websites to try and, get every ounce of backstage gossip from, whatever website they like to visit. These are the same people saying that they want the Attitude Era back, yet when WWE produces 15 minutes of their edgiest television in a long time, people, start getting on the taking the quote-unquote moral high ground. And I think people have kind of lost sight of what villains in professional wrestling are, because villains in professional wrestling are the same as villains in any story, whether that's in wrestling or a film or or some kind of 1-hour TV drama or a soap opera or something. These villains are supposed to be these despicable characters, and as I mentioned earlier, when you're telling a story, you have to elevate it every week. Every part of that story has to be on a higher level than the last, because that's the evolution of your story, and that's, incorporating the evolution of your characters. Why not have Punk do this despicable act? Because it gives another dimension to Punk. It's the evolution of his heel persona. If we do see The Rock versus Punk at the Royal Rumble, The Rock is the ultimate babyface. What's better, just having some guy who says he's been WWE champion for 365 days and counting, he's a hypocrite, he whines all the time, or have this, truly sickening, disgusting individual who, could well, end up becoming the ultimate heel. What's going to draw more ratings? What's going to draw more pay-per-view buys? What's going to make this guy the better villain? I think it's gone over so many people's heads, and like you said, it was, approved by Jerry the King Lawler. Otherwise they wouldn't have done it. Yes, it was in bad taste, but it's professional wrestling, it's entertainment. WWE is an entertainment product. It's so obvious. I don't understand why people are taking umbrage to it. It's storytelling.
Exactly. If it's done the right way, then it's okay. Like I say, if it's got Lawler's permission, it's fine. I mean, I want to go back to World Class Championship Wrestling. Now, some of you younger wrestling fans will not know what that is. Well, World Class Championship Wrestling was a promotion which was originally it was Ed McLemore in Texas, and it was later taken on by Fritz von Erich of the famous von Erich family. Now, the Von Erich family, if you don't know, if you're a newer wrestling fan, obviously hardcore wrestling fans will know about this family. They had tragedies. Fritz had, I think it was six sons, and 5 of them died either through accidental death or suicide. And he actually, a lot of the family had actually tragically died with suicides and deaths. And he did an angle in the ring where he actually took a beating. I think it was the Iceman King Parsons and one of the Freebirds. It was not Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy. It was Buddy Roberts. They give Fritz a beating in the ring, and on his way back there to the locker room, he had a supposed heart attack in the middle of the ring, middle of the ramp. Even though Kerry Von Erich later on said it was actually a feigned broken rib. At the time, everyone said it was he had faked a heart attack, and it absolutely died. Excuse the pun, but it died a death. The fans didn't like it because it wasn't because of the fact that it was he had a heart attack. It was the fact that this family had already had so much tragedy. It wasn't, it wasn't even, not that it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't. It just wasn't. It had gone past the point of where it became entertaining, or it was because this family had had so much tragedy already. It became so morbid that they would think of doing an angle like this. It totally sank, and that was really one of the things that sort of started the death of the company as World Class Championship Wrestling. So you got to remember as well, people have really died in the ring. Ted DiBiase's dad, Iron Mike DiBiase, actually had a heart attack in the ring and died. So this is something that has really happened. So I can understand some people being a bit shocked by it, but Jerry Lawler had a heart attack. He's absolutely fine now. WWE cleared it with him; they were going to do it. If he's happy with it, everyone should be happy with it. Yeah. Okay. Have you got anything else to add on that, Adam, or should we move on to the next question?
No, I think that about sums it up. And a bit of a plug for Layfield Report. Just go there and look out for why I loved the heart attack angle on Raw by me. Just a quick shameless plug.
No worries. Okay, last question this week is by Steve Bulmer, and I presume by his question he's in the UK somewhere. As a UK wrestling fan, is it time the WWE bought a pay-per-view event either in the UK or Europe? The last one we had was SummerSlam 92, held at Wembley Stadium. We have some impressive venues. Do you think this will ever happen? Well, I think that's an absolutely excellent question, because it was SummerSlam 92 the last time WWE bought a major pay-per-view to the UK or Europe in general. I think maybe WrestleMania might be going a push too far with this, because WrestleMania is the showcase of the Immortals. WWE is although it's a global company, it is an American company, and before the pay-per-view they would sing the national anthem, which was very good. And I think that I think WrestleMania is home. It's in America. Personally, I think its home is in the US. They should keep that one there. But certainly a SummerSlam or a Raw, maybe a Royal Rumble or something. They could have it because in the UK, forgetting Europe aside a second, in the UK, I believe we've actually got probably the best venues, if not the best venue in the world. We've got the new Wembley, which holds well over 80,000. It's mainly a football venue, but it can be changed very easily. In fact, if it was actually a wrestling venue, it could probably hold closer to 100,000, with obviously using the pitch as well. And I think it's a top venue, and it will be a sellout because we don't get wrestling over here very often. It's only normally the Survivor Series tour, or the WrestleMania Revenge tour in April. So I'd love to see it over here. I mean, I'm sure that Europe's got some fantastic venues as well, like Germany, France, Spain, Italy. You probably could have something over in those countries as well. But yes, I'd love to see it. Very good question. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, well, I don't know if your question, Steve, was inspired by the recent developments that WWE is actually in talks with people over here in the UK about hosting a pay-per-view at a venue. And I believe there's a venue in Wales they're interested in, and I think perhaps another one in London. So they are actively looking at hosting a pay-per-view event for 2013 in the UK. I think SummerSlam is the event that's being passed around at the moment. But, we do have some great venues over here. Wembley is, like you said, Steve, Wembley hosted SummerSlam 92, and it's a very unique-looking venue. I mean, you only have to look at the interior of Wembley, and, you think, okay, that is Wembley Stadium. It is a unique venue. And unfortunately, you look at venues like Madison Square Garden, which used to look so unique, and unfortunately, since it's been renovated, it looks like just any other arena, which is a real shame. But you do have venues around like Wembley Stadium that do look like no other arena on the planet, and of course holds 80,000 plus people, and it would sell out in the UK because the UK tour is always extremely successful. So a pay-per-view is definitely going to sell out because it is such a rarity. The last major pay-per-view being SummerSlam 92, and of course they did have some UK exclusive pay-per-view events, Rebellion and Insurrection, but it's been about 10 years since the last of those. And those were literally pay-per-view events that were I think they were released on DVD in the States, but they were only on pay-per-view in the UK, and they didn't have any significant bearing on storylines and things like that. They were just for the UK. And there was also, I think, Global Warming in 2002 or 2003, which was in Australia. And I think that was the last foreign pay-per-view event that WWE held, aside from the UK ones. But I'd absolutely love to see a WWE pay-per-view here in the UK, and I'd love to see SummerSlam 2013 at Wembley Stadium. How it would work from a pay-per-view, the buying perspective, where the fact that it couldn't be live it could be live in the States, but of course it will be very early in the morning or very early afternoon. It would still be a Sunday, of course, but I'm not sure how that would work with the pay-per-view buys, because it wouldn't be at the usual time, and it would be an international event, and international Raws and stuff like that, when they're taped, they don't do as well in the ratings. So from a business perspective, you have to look at it like that. But as a fan, I would absolutely love to see that.
Definitely. I mean, one thing as well about I didn't allude to the fact that, like you said, they had Rebellion over here about 10 years ago, and I'm not talking about Steve's question here. Is really about the big pay-per-views, the big ones. But one thing as well is when you, I know that even in America at the house shows we don't get title changes. I mean, a few years ago we went to Manchester. And we saw a cage match for the title. It was WWE Champion John Cena versus Kurt Angle. Now, you couldn't really get excited about the match, even though you should be, because it's coming to the UK. A title match between two fantastic superstars. But in the back of your mind, you know that because it's a house show, it's in the UK. There is no way Kurt Angle is going to walk away as the champion. You know that there's only going to be one winner. And that sort of spoils it a little bit from that point of view, because you know that you're only going to see a title change on an American show or a pay-per-view. Okay, before we go, we're going to do some DVD reviews next, but let's... Adam, I think you've got a special announcement to make regarding Silvervision, who actually provide you with... most of our DVDs, don't they?
Yeah, they've been very good to me over the past couple of years in sending advanced copies my way of their releases. And of course, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that the deal between WWE and Silvervision, as far as the DVD and Blu-ray home entertainment license, has come to an end as of January 2013. And I've just been able to uncover some more details about this, because it has just been announced that WWE will be working with Fremantle Media Enterprises in the UK for the home entertainment distribution in Europe, the UK and the Middle East, which are the same territories as Silvervision, but of course with the different company being Fremantle Media. Now, the details that haven't been reported on any other wrestling websites that I've been able to discover in the last few days is that from January, Silvervision has a 6-month period of which they have to sell their remaining WWE stock. They have 6 months from January, which again is when the Fremantle deal comes into effect. They've got 6 months to sell off their remaining stock. So expect to see many sales there if you are a Silvervision customer. So they've got their 6-month period. In terms of Fremantle, they are the DVD Blu-ray licensee, but they also have a very strong digital division. So expect to see some digital downloads and streaming when it comes to WWE titles going into 2013, which is a first, because I have been told that WWE wanted Silvervision to pursue digital downloads and streaming for a very long time, and Silvervision didn't seem to have those capabilities. So that was one of the reasons why WWE decided to end its deal with Silvervision. Another issue, actually, was based on the London riots of August 2011, because a building called the Sony DADC Centre, which is where DVDs are basically manufactured and produced, that was burnt down in an attack. That centre was in Enfield. It's back up and running now, but it was pretty crippling for the UK home entertainment market at the time, especially for independent companies and companies like Silvervision. Silvervision had all its stock destroyed, basically, and it being August, it wasn't that many months till Christmas. So that was crippling for Silvervision. And for the first time in over 2 decades, which is how long Silvervision has been the home entertainment licensee with WWE, they weren't able to make their minimum guarantee. And they have been paying fines, and are still paying fines, to WWE because they weren't able to make that because of the stock. So kind of unfair, but that's contracts and stuff like that. But just a few new sort of tidbits of information for you. Silvervision still paying WWE in fines, unfortunately, and they've got 6 months. They've got until the middle of next year to sell off all their remaining stock, and Fremantle is the licensee going forward. So let's see what the future holds. But of course, actually, although the Silvervision label is going, Clearvision still remains, which is the parent company of Silvervision. They've still got their licenses like Marvel and stuff like that. And actually one of their first releases of the new year is a wrestling title. It's the WWE produced Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows documentary. It's a 10th anniversary collector's edition, a bonus disc there about the life and death of Owen Hart, and that's going to be released. But that's a Clear Vision title, so no more Silvervision and no more WWE from Silvervision.
Okay, sticking on with DVDs, let's do a couple of reviews for you. The first one is the NWO Revolution DVD documentary, and also comes with bonus features and matches. I saw this one, and it was okay. It's if you don't know anything about the NWO, it didn't really give you a great insight as to who, why, and what they were. So if you don't know, about that time in history, wrestling history, about the WCW NWO wars, it's probably not really a must-buy for you. But if you are a fan of the NWO and you really enjoyed those few years in WCW when they were really kicking WWE's ass, then it's good because you got the bonus content on there and relive some of the matches. But all in all, I was looking forward to it, this one, but I was something about it that was a bit underwhelming. It was interesting, but not as interesting as I thought it would be. It wasn't really much on it I didn't already know, but there are some bonus features in there. Did you get a chance to see it, Adam?
I haven't had a chance to see this one yet, but it's a 3-disc set, and actually it is actually the last ever WWE release from Silvervision. It's available now on DVD and Blu-ray, and I'm going to get to this actually very, very soon. But I imagine it's 2 discs, bursting with matches. But the first disc, is it a featured documentary, like on the CM Punk DVD or any sort of Superstar DVD? Is it an actual documentary highlighting the story of the NWO, or is it just sort of segments or clips?
No, it's actually a documentary. Obviously, it does have clips in it as they're talking about particular things. But it has a lot of old commentary in it. I mean, it has obviously Scott Hall talking about the NWO, but it's just got clips of him from obviously 2002. I know poor Scott's gone through the wars in the last few years, but it's got Kevin Nash talking about it. He's talking about it sort of presently. It's got old clips of Hulk Hogan talking about it, old clips of Scott Hall, Billy Kidman on there. It's got Matt Striker. He seems to be doing all the WWE DVDs now, giving his insight into things. But yeah, not as painfully interesting as it could have been, really. It was okay. I'd say I'd probably give it 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. No more, no less. The second one I want to talk about is Brock Lesnar, Here Comes the Pain on Blu-ray. Now, this was a re-release, Adam, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the re-release of the 2000 and I believe it's 2003, possibly 2002, Brock Lesnar Here Comes the Pain release. This is the Blu-ray one you took a look at, and it's the 2-disc collector's edition.
That's right. I mean, twice. I must admit, and I'll level with everyone here. When I watch a wrestling match, wrestling DVD, normally I just go for the documentaries, because the matches that really you can click on, you can put on them on YouTube, and then you click on YouTube and you find them on there rather than scrolling through the disc. You've seen the matches loads of times anyway, so really it's documentary I tend to enjoy. Now this one here, I hadn't seen the original, so this is the first time I've ever seen this DVD. I've got to say I was very disappointed with it, and the reason why that was is because it was just a re-release based on the first version with no real new content. It basically went up to his WWF career in 2002, and ending up with his feud with the Big Show. So if you've already seen the first version of this, do not go and buy this version, because it does nothing about his UFC career. It has nothing about his return to WWE. There's nothing about that at all. It's just a revamped version of the original one. I mean, it starts off as like a bio, and it's the first sort of 20 minutes or so. I was quite interested in it, finding out his childhood and his amateur wrestling career. But, there's nothing, I found out nothing about him I didn't already know. And it was, it was just up until 2002, really, and that was it, nothing new. So, really, I'd have to give it, 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it seems like a bit of a cash-in, really. I mean, I think we're going to see the sort of definitive Brock Lesnar story in a year or two, now that he's back. And, there, of course, there's the... I think the thing with this is that the original DVD was released at a time when they didn't sort of have these kind of kayfabe breaking documentaries like they do now.
Yeah.
Now the WWE produces these incredible DVDs and these documentaries, and I think back then this was before they started doing these like superstar centric DVDs and everything. They would sort of just match collections and very short sort of snippets about their stories. I look forward to the real Brock Lesnar story in the years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, regarding the content, I can understand why they might leave out the UFC side, because, WWE is in, obviously, competition with UFC. A lot of people actually switched over to UFC from WWE because, obviously, it's real and WWE's not.
And because of Brock Lesnar.
Sorry?
And because of Brock Lesnar.
And because of Brock Lesnar.
And many people switched off when Brock Lesnar left.
Yeah, that's very true, because obviously he was a big draw there, and also I suppose people the interest in wanted to see him and see how he could tough it out in UFC was a big draw to them. But I can understand really WWE not really looking at that, because Vince McMahon will never put his interest in something he didn't create. But they missed the trick for me with his return and his feud with Cena when he came back, and they missed the ball with that. But I say it was it wasn't a fantastic DVD for me at all.
And the biggest star in the history of the UFC was a professional wrestler, and the biggest star of the UFC was the biggest star in the UFC because he was a professional wrestler.
Exactly.
Our next show is going to be on December 9th, which again is the day of Final Resolution. So on the next episode you can expect a preview of the next TNA pay-per-view event. But we'd like to fast forward briefly to December 23rd. So a couple of days before Christmas. And it's going to be I guess you could call it our Christmas special. And would you like to make a special announcement of how we're going to close 2012?
That's right. As Alan just said, 23rd of December is our Christmas special. So we want you to put down the wrapping paper, put down the sellotape, put down the turkey, the stuffing, put everything on hold, sit yourself down for an hour or two, and listen to our show, because we've got none other than a special guest on our show, who's going to be giving us an exclusive interview, and that is Rob Feinstein of RF Video and RF Video Now fame. He is a part, and also a very integral part of the ECW shows. He is going to be talking to us exclusively about all things wrestling, and that will be on the 23rd of December. So make sure you tune in for that one. Also, if you've got any questions for Rob, you can send them to
Hot Tag Mailbag at yahoo.com.
And you can post us to us on Facebook. Just type in the Hot Tag Podcast on Facebook.com. You find us there, add us, send us your questions for Rob. We'll try to do as many as we can. But I'm really looking forward to that. That's Rob Feinstein from our video, 23rd of December.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely looking forward to speaking to Rob. And when we started the show, we promised you interviews. We thought we'd get going with a few episodes first, but we're going to close out 2012 with that great interview. And going into 2013, we're going to be bringing you many more interviews here on the Hot Tag.
Okay, thanks always for listening. We've enjoyed giving you the show again this week. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
We'll see you then, December 9th.